Hello, good day, Miss. I am Claudine Joy A. Cagoyong, and the novel that I choose is about The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. The Handmaid's Tale is a dystopian novel by Canadian author Margaret Atwood, published in 1985. In the near future, human fertility will collapse as a result of sexually transmitted diseases and environmental pollution. In the midst of this chaos, a power-hungry, militarized, fanatical hierarchical regime took control of the government and established a new nation called Gilead. They created a new social class in which women were brutally conquered and prohibited by law from king owning property, handling money, or reading. Fall into a few social categories that Martha or housekeeper and cook, wife that expected to do household chores, maid forced into sexual and childbirth slavery, and aunt means chains and supervises maids. This essay attempts to analyze Margaret Atwood's feminist consciousness through her portrayal of characters in the novel. At the same time, it extends to considering the issue of gender inequality in today's society. So the summary of this novel is that Offred is the handmaiden of the Republic of Gilead, a totalitarian and theocratic state that has replaced the United States. A maid is hired to bear children for her elite couple, who are struggling to conceive because their fertility rate is dangerously slow. Offred serves a former gospel singer, traditional values advocate, commander, and his wife Selena Joy. Offred is not the narrator's real name. Her maid's name consists of the word "off" followed by the maid's commander's name. Each month, when Offred is at the proper time of her menstrual cycle, Offred is forced to have ritual sex with the commander while Serena sits behind her and holds her hand. Like all women's liberty, Offred's liberty is completely curtailed. She can only leave the house to shop. The door to her room cannot be completely shut, and ICE, Gilead's secret police, monitors all her public movements. As Red recounts her daily life, she repeatedly slips into flashbacks from which the reader can reconstruct events up to the beginning of the novel. I was having an affair with Luke. Luke divorced his wife, married Offred, and had a child. They used the military to assassinate the president and members of parliament and staged a coup. Claiming a temporary seizure of power, they attacked women the right to prohibit women from owning property or jobs. Offred and Luke tried to escape across the border to Canada with their daughter, but they were cuffed and separated, and Offred has not seen her husband or daughter since marriage was annulled or due to Luke's divorce, and she was taken to Rachel and Leah's re-education center, dubbed the Red Center by the residents. I prepared, made Aunt Lydia supervise the women and delivered a speech praising the Gilead belief that women should be submissive to men and should be concerned only with procreation. Argued that social order would ultimately bring more respect and security to women. Moira is taken to the Red Center, but she escapes and Offred doesn't know what will become of her. Once Offred is assigned the commander's house, her life settles into a restrictive routine. She takes shopping trips with Offglen, another handmaid, and they visit the wall outside what used to be Harvard University, where the bodies of rebels hang. She must visit the doctor frequently to be checked for disease and other complications, and she must endure the ceremony, in which the commander reads to the household from the Bible, then goes to the bedroom, where Serena and Offred wait for him, and has sex with Offred. Her first break from her routine is when she visits her doctor and he offers to have it sex to get her pregnant. She refuses. Her doctor worries her, but his proposal is too risky. Offglen betrays Offred while shopping that she is a member of the underground organization My Day, to which she belongs defeat Gilead. Meanwhile, Offred begins to understand what the ritual is like. Now that she knows her commander, she different and less impersonal. Your night conversation begins to touch on the new order that the commander and his allies have a leader created in Gilead when Offred admitted his misfortune. The commander said, "You can't make an omelette without breaking eggs." Serena suggests she went, while, without Offred getting pregnant, Offred secretly has sex with Nick and hands over her child as commanders. Serena comes and tells Offred go to next room. Offred and Nick have sex soon. They start sleeping together frequently without anyone knowing. Offred gets involved in the case and ignores Offglen's request to participate in the mass execution of rape suspects overseen by Aunt Lydia. Offred throws the first punch. She later tells Offred that the so-called rapist was a member of My Day and beat him to get him out of a dire situation. Shortly after, Offred goes shopping and the new Offglen meets her. This new woman isn't My Day's, and tells Offred that old Offglen hanged her when he saw the secret police coming. Then Nick walks in and tells her that Ice is really a My Day member who came to save her. Offred goes with them over the commanders for the officiation to either prison or freedom. She doesn't know that. In one totalitarian states, as Atwood suggests, people will willing to endure oppression as long as they are given a little power or freedom over. Her mother recalls saying, "It's really nice to be able to get used to it, as long as there is some compensation." Self-righteousness after starting relationship with Nick reveals the truth inside her circumstances, severely limit her compared to her freedom. Her past, her life forgives, but her relationship with Nick allows her to take it back and smallest fragment of their former existence, physical affection, dating into balance that makes restrictions almost tolerable. Serena Joy is miserable and has very little freedom, but she enjoys to exploit the power she would over Offred. More seriously, the aunts are not just complicit in the regime's crimes, they are amongst the novel's worst perpetrators, responsible for torture and psychological abuse. Offred's place on the spectrum of complicity is ambiguous. She hates and fears the regime and does not believe in the values. Offred's white wings, Chapter 2, severely limit her own ability to see. She says the patch of plaster in her bedroom ceiling as a blind plaster eye, and the convex mirror on the stairs as a fish eye. Chapter 17, the secret police of the Gileadian regime are known as the Eyes, and their emblem, a winged eye, is painted everywhere. Offred thinks of these eyes are male, even comparing eyes to penises and penises to eyes. For instance, when she describes the commander's penis as a stuck sludge eye, Chapter 15. However, while the novel endorses a feminist concept of the way men look at women, it also warns that feminist concepts alone don't offer protection from the male dominant. The only character who outright states the idea that the way men look at women can be a form of violence is Aunt Lydia. So the conclusion of this novel is that feminism should never be derogatory word at any time. Just as Drusilla Cornellman said, men should have similar freedoms, thus returning feminism to its promise that freedom for women would mean freedom for all. Feminism is a collection of movements aimed at defining, establishing, and defending equal political, economic, and social rights and equal opportunities for women. It's all about equality rather than gender discrimination. We should never be afraid of the word feminist. With moral, plural, and limited human desires, people can set up more well-rounded society. Just as Natalie Portman said, it's time for a new day, a new locker room culture. Time to think about every person's desires, needs, wants, and pleasure. It's time to realize that we, none of us, are worthy of safety and respect.